Hello and thanks for joining me for another video. Today I'm out looking for some orchids and any other wildlife we can find on the way. This site is particularly good for orchids, and already very early on in my walk I've discovered an orchid I've not seen here before, bird's nest orchid. And bird's nest orchid is a species I usually get nearby at loggerheads, but I've never seen it here and I'm quite excited to find it. It's a plant, I'm sure you're looking at the footage thinking this is not interesting, this is a dead plant, it looks horrible. That's how bird's nest orchid looks. It doesn't have any green leaves because this plant is parasitic, and it's parasitic on a fungus. It's a fungus I've never seen before, and to be honest, on the database there's not any records of this fungus in North Wales, yet bird's nest orchid has been recorded in numerous parts of North Wales, so the fungus has to be here. Maybe a little mission in the autumn to try and confirm that this fungus actually is here, because it obviously is, because otherwise the plant wouldn't be here. So yeah, it looks dead. It's not producing its own food, and the reason why it's called bird's nest orchid is because underground the root system mats together looking like a bird's nest, and it's associated with limestony areas and usually with beech trees or occasionally yew. And here on this site there's not many beech trees at all. There's a couple hidden away, and that's exactly where the orchid was, so I'm dead chuffed about this. But to compensate, I'll try and find you the two orchids I'm actually here to look for, which are a little bit more impressive and beautiful than bird's nest orchid, which are lesser butterfly and greater butterfly orchid. So let's go see if we can find them. One of the reasons I really like coming to this site is because it's got a very nice diverse array of habitat. You've got some lovely woodland, some very kind of big hedgerows, and these wonderful open grassland areas. There's quite a few of them scattered around, and they interest me because as soon as you come here, some of the plants you see in them tell you that this site is of interest. As I said before, the underlying bedrock here is limestone, and some of the plants are telling you that. It's kind of, there's rock rose and cellar burnet. But they can be old as well, these meadows, because Betony, on abundance like we've got here, is often an indication of ancient meadows. Not always the case, but it's an indicator species that this might be an ancient meadow. When you get Betony in the wild en masse over a big area, it's going to have been there for a while. And if Betony's been there for a while, what other interesting plants are lurking in the background as well. And Betony is just wonderful, with punctuations of purple all the way through this site. It's wonderful to see. And I've even found a rust fungus on some of the leaves. Not many, considering how much Betony there is on site, but this rust fungus is specific to Betony. And across North Wales, not common at all, because Betony is not that common. It's kind of confined to the more limestone areas, and even then it's where modern agriculture hasn't really interfered with, so it's very restricted by habitat. There's other interesting plants, like I say, in these meadows, including lady's bedstraw, which gets its name because ladies used to take the plant, which on hot summer nights like tonight smells so sweet and wonderful and fragrant, and put them in their mattress to make their bed smell better. Again, the site is absolutely carpeted in ladies' bedstraw as well, so there's a wonderful aroma as you're walking around. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy more of these meadows and kind of explore them, try and look for any interesting orchids that might be around. But yeah, let's see what else we can find. Quite pleased that I just found Speedwell Longhorn, little tiny moths just resting on some vegetation just on the hedgerow behind me. And they're a delightful little micro moth. Micro moths often don't get enough praise and credit because the big showy moths, they're in competition with butterflies, which get all the credit. But then the micro moths are up against competition with the macro moths, so they just got underappreciated. And it's because they're small, people don't really appreciate them because you've got to get on your hands and knees or get really up close with them. But when you do, they're really beautiful, especially things like the Speedwell Longhorn, with their distinctive long antennae, hence why they're called longhorns. And its host plant, Germander speedwell, there's lots of it around here. It's finished flowering now, but the larvae feed on the leaves. And there were 3 of these moths. Two of them trying to make more moths, and another one trying to see if he could also help. But I obviously interrupted them, for better or worse in that situation, depending on which one of the moths you are. But they're just wonderful, wonderful to see. Oh, this lovely warm summer's evening is great for moths. There's loads and loads flying around. Lots of little micro moths dancing over the meadows and things. Speedwell Longhorn, not that common across North Wales. It's found in lots of areas, but it's not common considering how common Germander Speedwell is. Maybe it's because people aren't looking hard enough or even know it exists, but yeah, very much enjoyed them. Let's carry on with our walk. Another great moth encounter, this time with a six-spot burnet. It's a day-flying moth that's usually out quartering over the meadows, and when you see it flying during the day, you almost don't think they're moths. They're very, very kind of fast-flying, very direct. But obviously, as the sun's starting to set, this moth's trying to find somewhere nice that it can spend the evening. It's found a nice bit of Betony to rest on, and whilst it's resting, it's really not bothered by me at all. I've been able to get some really quite close macro shots of it, and it's not fussed. Always nice to work with insects that allow you to get close and they're not bothered by you, because the amount of times I try and film butterflies, and as soon as you step within 200 yards of them, they just fly away. So it's lovely to see this. There are other species of burnet moth, so if you do see a moth like this, which is quite distinctive with this kind of very dark metallic grey-black background with these bright fuchsia pink spots, this six-spot has 6 spots, but there are other burnets that have 5 spots. There is the 5-spot burnet and there's the narrow-bordered 5-spot burnet, so make sure you count the spots when you see them. But oh, lovely to see. Sun's going down, moths in front of me on a load of interesting wildflowers. What more could you want? Oh, orchids, that's what we want. Let's go and have a look. I found the first of my target species, the greater butterfly orchid, and it is a stunner. I love coming here and I love finding them. I'm quite pleased this year because there's a few areas where the populations of the greater butterfly orchid are concentrated, but I've stumbled on quite a few in the last few minutes along the edge of the hedgerows in places that I don't normally see them. Maybe I'm just too busy route marching between where I know they are to notice them, but I've found a few more this year, which is nice to see. And the flowers are glorious when they're fully open. These white angelic flowers, they're absolutely beautiful. But they have a purpose, and that purpose is to get pollinated, and it's moths that do the pollinating of the butterfly orchids. And in this case, what greater butterfly orchid has decided is a sensible solution to getting pollinated is to blind the moth, almost blind it. The way the pollen sits in the flower and where the moths go and get the proboscis in and things like that, they get the pollen stuck to their eyes. So when they go to another plant, they kind of lock into the flower, and then they know that the eye space of the moth will lock into exactly where it needs to go and things like that. So yeah, quite an extreme solution, rather than just put the pollen on somewhere on the moth and hope it, you know, it's very distinctive. Nope, it's going on the eyes, and when you visit the next flower, it will get pollinated. So yeah, quite extreme. Blind your helper, but yeah, they're just lovely, lovely to see. It is a species that is in decline, but here, like I say, quite nice to say there's a few more than what I normally see. But again, can't put that down to just me being a bit more observant this year. So yeah, greater butterfly orchid, yes. I've just found the second of our quarry, the lesser butterfly orchid. And this is an orchid that's now endangered in the UK and in the last 100 years has declined dramatically through the use of chemicals on lots of fields. And it's a topic we do not talk about enough, is the fact that on our farmland and surrounding areas and even around parks and things like that where children play, we just constantly pump chemicals around, things that are designed to kill nature. And one of the things that suffer the most is fungi. The use of fungicides is just abhorrent in my opinion, but these orchids rely on fungi. They have such a symbiotic relationship with them that without them, these orchids can't grow. And if we start polluting the soil and just spraying chemicals everywhere, orchids are usually the first indicators that all is not well. And they have been declining and retreating into areas where it's as wild as it can be in this day and age. Lesser butterfly orchids, though, are just sublime. Their flowers aren't as grandiose as the greater butterfly orchid. They're a bit more compact and not as free-flowing, if you see what I mean. It's kind of, they're a bit more firm. They're not as relaxed, the flowers. But its main pollinator is the elephant hawk moth, and there will be lots of elephant hawk moth around here because there's a big stand of rosebay willow herb just in front of me. That's also one of the larval food plants of the elephant hawk moth caterpillars. So the plant gives off this lovely aroma which attracts the elephant hawk moth to come and pollinate it. And it's got its food plant nearby as well. It's absolutely wonderful. But when I was here a couple of years ago, there were more lesser butterfly orchids than there are now. There's only a handful here. And just the site just feels like it's getting a bit more rank and not as ideal for lesser butterfly orchids. So hopefully in the next few years it'll survive and hopefully thrive. We could do with some good news stories with our orchids. So yeah, lovely to see. Time to head off, see what else we can find before I head back to the car. Slightly weird ending to my day. I just finished, I'd done a piece to camera and was getting back to the car, and a dog walker caught me and I was asking what I was up to, kind of what I was filming wildlife wise, and then said, could I come and check a couple of plants in their garden because something's devouring them. So I said, I'll check it out, see if I can help out. Anyway, showed me some box, absolutely being decimated by box moth, which is a relatively new moth in the UK and is spreading like wildfire. It's only a couple of years ago I got the first one in the garden, and then the other night I think I had about 12. And one of our neighbours' box is absolutely decimated with it as well, so not a good time if you have box in the garden. And the other was a Vibascum plant, mullein, covered in the moth of the same name, mullein moth. And the caterpillars are glorious. They're this wonderful, rich, lime green, yellow and black, and they are absolutely tearing that plant apart. So, but it's good. If your garden's not being eaten, it's not a part of the ecosystem. Remember that. If there's nothing eating your garden, it's just rubbish. You want everything interacting with it, so, and enjoy watching them doing it. So, I love coming here. I always do, because there's lots to see, lots of interesting wildlife. I'm very aware this episode has basically been lots of moths and flowers that are either pollinated by moths or butterfly shaped. You know, it's the same. There's been a theme with this, I think, not intentionally, but that's just the way sometimes these things go. But yeah, great place to come. This week it's been a nightmare because I broke one of the camera lenses I use for filming, so I've had to wait for a new replacement lens. Haven't had time to get out. It's always nicer to come here because it's just accessible. You can just potter, you have to do a big walk, lots to see and do. It's great. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, if you can like and subscribe, that'll help the channel out, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye for now.